Well, hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Accommodation Show. This week you're in for an absolute treat because I am joined by the wonderful Savannah Jackson from Hello Queenstown. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bart. Great to be here.
Absolute pleasure to have you. You are in one of the most beautiful places in the world, being Queenstown. If you haven't visited Queenstown, I highly recommend it. I got taken there by my partner a few years ago. We managed to go to Milford Sound. Look it up. It's the most stunning thing you could ever do. Get on a plane, get over there, and have a look at it. And Savannah has been running a very, very successful business called Hello Queenstown, which she'll tell you all about. But Savannah, before I get going, how are you going?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Queenstown. Can't be better.
Yeah, amazing. Look, I might get straight into it because our journey has been a little bit serendipitous. I was organizing Strive to Thrive in New Zealand. Our paths crossed through mutual connections. And now here we are. And the reason why I really wanted to do it is because you are building a business at absolute breakneck speed. You have a huge amount of business experience. And I think that everybody can learn an awful lot from your journey, from your story, and really apply it to their businesses. So can you do me a favor and introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are, maybe a bit of your background, and what Hello Queenstown is all about?
Sure, of course. I was born and raised in Canada to a mother from New Zealand. When I was 16, she took us to live in Australia. So I spent most of my life living in Australia, despite my Canadian accent. For 25 years, I had a stockbroking, education, financial services business, and I was in the very privileged position to speak on stage with people such as Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, Richard Branson, and many others. And through that business, I was able to retire when I was about 45 years old and decided to move to live in the most beautiful place on earth, Queenstown, New Zealand. If you've ever watched the Lord of the Rings movies, that's exactly where I live, right down in Middle Earth. And coming out of the pandemic, I had purchased a number of properties, which I was managing myself on AirBNB, and decided that I turned 50 and I thought, I'm way too young to be fully retired. I need to do something else. I got one more big business in me. And seeing as I was already managing property in Queenstown and I didn't want to be traveling too much for business, I thought, hey, why don't we build up the biggest property management company here? As you do. Yeah. So I only started it a couple of years ago. And within the 2-year time period, we've actually now grown to 145 properties under management, making us the single largest property management company in Queenstown. But we're not sitting on our laurels. We're certainly taking the opportunity to continue to grow. I've currently got 2 large developments underway where I'm building one group of 21 townhouses and another group of 60 townhouses. I'm also working with a number of other developers who are building their own projects, and we're negotiating now to take on the management of those projects. So our ultimate goal is to get to about 500 properties under management within the next 4 to 5 years. Now, along that road, we've also learned some of the challenges of running property management and short-term rentals, especially when it comes to cleaning. So we used to outsource our cleaning to a couple of different companies. But in the end, we found that in order to really succeed in this business, to ensure the quality and the performance of our properties for both the guests and the owners, we had to control the cleaning internally. So now we've built up one of the largest cleaning companies in Queenstown with 35 staff and a fleet of vans to drive around town in. And we're in the process now of establishing our own industrial linen laundry. Because if there's one thing I've learned about short-term rentals, clients or guests only require 2 things that are mandatory: toilet paper and linen. Everything else we can deal without. Even electricity can go out for a while. That's okay. But if you don't have toilet paper and linen, you're in trouble. So there's no margins in toilet paper, so we'll keep buying that in. But linen, that's a great little business to be in. So that's another one of our projects. So as you can see, we've, rather than go wide and have property management business all over the country, we decided to go deep in one town and really be the biggest and the most specialist group in Queenstown, but cover all the different business aspects so that we can guarantee the quality of our performance across the cleaning, the linen, the properties, and even the property development.
Yeah, and have a consistent guest experience. Wow, 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 wow. Look, I've as you were speaking, I was furiously making all these different notes of questions that I have that we're going to cover off today. I think it's quite something to be 45 years old and be in a position to retire. There's not many people that I know that have had that opportunity or that privilege. And then going back into running a business, I guess the mindset's a bit different, isn't it? Like you're not doing it purely because you need to earn lots of money, right? That's not the reason. I mean, I guess this is the building it series. It sounds to me like you just like to build stuff.
Absolutely right. Like when my previous business, which I started when I was in my late 20s, it was all for me at the time. Didn't have much money. So it was all about growing, learning, building foundation for my family. My daughter was born. So I had a number of, family and, financial wealth project goals. This time around, my daughter's turning 21 in next week. She's off doing her thing now. So now it's all about having fun. And now it's about the challenge. I've never actually worked harder in my life if I'd known that short-term rentals was going to be a 24/7 business, I may not have gotten so involved in it. But fortunately, we've now grown to a team of 23 people in the property management side and over 30 people in the cleaning side. So I've got a bigger staff now than I've ever had before. And I'm starting to be able to step back from the crazy 7-day a week commitment to the business. And I'm really having a lot of fun. I think over the next few years, for me personally, there's going to be a lot of growth, particularly in the property development side, which is a real passion of mine to really focus on.
Yeah, and a huge step. There are quite a few people that I know that sort of start to look at short-term rentals in a different way rather than just getting properties and starting to manage them, and they build their businesses in completely different kind of niches or verticals, which is really interesting. But before I go into that, I really wanted to ask you, like mindset. It's something to be 20 years old and have that entrepreneurial spirit and sort of start building already, and then now you're doing it again and you're building. What would your advice to be to somebody about sort of mindset, or what's required? What does it take to be Savannah and just going, you know what, I'm 20 years old, rather than getting a job, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And I know that you mentioned Tony Robbins and this and these incredible speakers that have achieved and motivators and coaches that have achieved incredible things. Can you kind of break it down just in a bit more of a practical way? Like, what do people really need to think about to be able to, like, what is it that drives you? What is it that people can learn from your experience?
Well, I've always loved the phrase focus on the mission, not the commission. And I know that's back from the 80s, but it's something that's always stuck with me. The ultimate goal is to deliver outstanding service. Everything else will fall into place after that. And I think in the short-term rental space and the hospitality space, I've never been involved in a business that is so focused on service. We are constantly reviewed and judged by our guests. And of course, we live by, 5-star reviews on the platforms. So if you've got the mindset to deliver outstanding service, then the money will follow. If you're focused just on money and looking to cut corners, minimize service back to your property owners, back to your guests, back to your staff, then it's all going to fall apart. So I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I've had multiple different businesses. The stock market one and real estate have been the most successful for me. And what I can say to people these days is with the technology that's changed in the last 20, 30 years, since when I really first started my entrepreneurial career, there's so much technology that can do so much for us. Whether it's communication, whether it's software, where we really excel is when we provide that human element, that human connection to our property owners, to our guests, and to our staff. And like I say, it all comes down to service, not just the guests, right? But the owners and the staff, everybody. If you're a real person trying to connect on a heartfelt level, that's where people will recognize it. That's where they'll gravitate towards you. And that's where you'll get those fantastic reviews, which will translate into a successful business.
And I want to go just one step further on that question, if you don't mind. So completely get that, and I think that that's incredibly useful for someone to know that, or to think about things. It's the Amazon, right? That you're going to focus on the customer first, and then everything else. When you're 20 years old and you're looking at these things, and you don't know what your business is going to be necessarily at that particular point, and you say, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to do things. What's the mindset that's required, or what mindset did you have in terms of your future?
Wow. When I was that age, my mindset was to make money. My mindset was to have a life, to have lifestyle, to have opportunity, to be able to travel, to be able to buy nice things. That was very much the mindset. And I wanted to have a family. So in order to have, a great family life, you need to provide a home, you need to provide education for your child, you need to provide, trips and travel and all those sort of things. So
Mm.
I think money is that huge driver, and it's easy to fall into that trap of chasing dollars and trying to come up with something that's going to translate your time into money. And ultimately, everyone's trying to do the same thing. Everyone's trying to get that edge. Everyone's trying to find that opportunity. Like I say, the service. And I think part of the reason we've been so successful in attracting not just property owners who have come to us to manage their properties, but also developers who now realize that they have a few choices of different property management companies, especially here in Queenstown. But if they're going to align their entire new development with us as the sole managers for that property, they need to know that, we're going to be not only professionally run, honest, have integrity, but also that real human interaction with them, with the guests, and with the ultimate property owners. So I'll come back to that same point again. That human element is, I think, what's really missing, especially as we move forward into the world of AI. And there's so much more interaction going to be occurring between humans and software that
Yeah.
being able to connect with your owners, making that phone call, making that face-to-face connection is going to be absolutely so critically powerful.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Picking up the phone, it's actually really interesting because I haven't had the time to pick up the phone for the past few months, been completely swamped. But over the past week or so, I have managed to pick up the phone, and the progress that I make, it's tenfold of what I'm doing, being on emails and WhatsApps and that
Yeah,
sort
I
of thing.
much prefer calling my property owners than trying to type out an email or write out an email or get ChatGPT to write the email. It's much better, I
Sure,
find, just to speak to them on the phone. And
sure.
you can lose so much in communication by trying to type it as opposed to being able to speak it.
Yeah, and you can get like empathy and that sort of thing a lot more
Totally.
by having a chat. Okay, so good. So one of the things I am picking up is that what you said is the money was important, especially at the start, and
Yes.
that was sort of to get yourself going, to create opportunity. Then you build the different businesses, and then obviously this one here, it's not necessarily just as financially driven. It's a new challenge for you more than anything else. I don't want to dwell on that too much because I do want to talk about how the hell you've gone from zero to over, it was 100 or 150
It's
properties.
just close on 150 now.
150 properties in 2 years. Now that's unheard of. And typically, if a business wants to run that fast, then it's done through acquisition. Tell me how you went from starting to where you are in such a rapid pace.
Sure. I mean, we did do some acquisition. I mean, the first 10 properties are ones that I personally owned. From there, I started I honestly, I did not know how I was going to find any more properties. I only just moved to Queenstown. I didn't know anybody. Most of the property owners who own property in Queenstown don't live in Queenstown. It's very
Mhm.
much a tourism
Yeah,
town. So most of
yeah.
the owners live overseas or in different cities. So how do I reach out to them? How do I find them? An opportunity came up to purchase a management rights here in Queenstown in 2023. And it was just a small sort of 18 townhouse development. But that particular owner had picked up about 10 more of other properties in the local area.
Hmm.
So they sold their business, we purchased it, and that gave us another 28 properties straight away under our belt. And then I was introduced to another lady who was looking to retire. She had about 27 property contracts that she was looking to sell out of. So by acquiring those two businesses, that allowed us to jump up our numbers quite rapidly up to around 60 odd. And from that point, we started to establish a bit of a reputation, started talking to some of the local real estate agencies. And Queenstown is a pretty small town. And on our main street, there's one big main roundabout, and there was one office space, or it was a retail space really. But it was, if you had a choice of any place in Queenstown, any office space, any retail space, you would pick this space because it's the most visible. Not one person can come to Queenstown without seeing it. And because we'd grown to over 60 properties, we got to that phase where, you now need to hire a few staff. You can't just manage it, you and your one partner. So we started having, a team of 3 or 4 people working out of our living room. And of course, my partner's like, we can't keep working out of the living room. This is getting insane. So we started looking around for an office space. And we found this little spot which we thought was pretty good. And the real estate agent said, well, what about that one on the roundabout? And I said, oh my God, that's going to be outrageously expensive. It's the most visible. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And she said, well, no, it looks really big. It's got a phenomenal frontage, but it's kind of triangular shaped. It's not as big on the inside as you think. So we went and had a look, and I thought, wow, it's a stretch. It's certainly an expensive space, but it would put us on the map.
Yeah.
And so we decided to take it, and it has been phenomenal. It's been like a fire hose of business for us. So we have this massive 40 square meters of frontage right on the main strip in town. So I put up these big giant light boxes with all our branding, and that really gave us the credibility amongst other people that you can't come to Queenstown without seeing the Hello Queenstown business. That then allowed me, when I'm speaking to developers, when I'm speaking to property agents, we would say, oh, we're from Hello Queenstown. Everybody knows who we are. A lot of the other property management companies in Queenstown operate under the radar. Like, they don't have a visible space. So unless they have their vehicles branded, which maybe they've each got maybe 2 or 3 vehicles that I've seen, they really don't have much branding recognition in town. So taking the risk, if you want to call it, by taking on this office space, that really helped lift our game, lift our visibility. And then from there, we've then managed to, I'm such a people person and entrepreneur that I've gone around and met all the different developers and said, look, this is what we can do for you. This is what we bring to the table. This is the level of service we can provide. This is how serious we are. Look at our space. We're doing Villa del Lago. We really, we're here to play. And I think a lot of the local property developers really responded to that, because at the end of the day, they just want to know that if they're selling their properties that they're building, that their purchasers are going to be happy with the service post that sale. So by projecting that aura of confidence, professionalism, seriousness, service, that really helped open the doors for us on that front.
Gotcha. So many questions. So so we've got around about 10, 15 minutes to go. So I'm gonna quick fire a whole bunch of stuff at you. So please bear with me. But I think for the audience, this is gonna be really great. So when we're talking, so you got to that sort of 60 property mark, you move into an office, and from a branding, marketing point of view, stroke of genius. And I think that I will ask you one day to come back and we can talk about marketing specifically, because I think it's a great topic. And I think that you're very strong with marketing and understanding how human psychology works and how you can represent yourself. But with that growth path, so we're at 60 properties, and you said that leveraging into your networks and into developers was very, very important. Can you break down quickly what that actually means? So a developer's building some new houses or apartments, and then what are you guys going in and saying?
Both. So Queenstown's a real hot market at the moment. There's developers from all over New Zealand and Australia who are here buying up pretty much every piece of dirt they can find to build, 10 townhouses, 15 apartments, right up to a couple of hundred small houses and townhouses. So there's a real hotbed of activity. The council has become much stricter on where we're allowed to do 365-day Airbnb visitor consent and which areas are meant for residential regions, which we totally support. So we've really been focusing on those regions where we can do 365-day holiday rental. Like I said before, the developers just want to know that the properties are going to be well managed afterwards. So by introducing a high level quality service to them, they've been very keen to take it on board.
Yeah, right. So rather than renting the place out, are the developers not selling the properties?
Oh yeah, they're selling them. That's the whole key point. So if they're selling them to a property investor from around New Zealand, around Australia, they can then turn around and say, well, these are the people that we have to manage the property for you. Look how professional the website, their service,
Yeah,
their office is right downtown. It's visible to everyone.
yeah,
That's been
amazing.
a real key aspect.
Amazing. And then what proportion of your, so from the 60, so the extra 190 that you've got on, what proportion would be from these sort of new builds or developers versus established properties and converting them to your business?
Right. Well, from when we purchased the couple of rent rolls, right, the management rights, that took us to about 60. To get up to the 150, that has been primarily mostly organic growth, just from by opening our office, having property owners come to us and ask us to manage their properties for them. So there's been a lot of organic growth from that point of view. Also, there's a number of real estate agencies in town that don't have a short term rental arm to their business. And
Yeah.
they love promoting us as well because of the confidence and the professionalism that we project. So at the moment, I have a few deals going with the developers, but they're still in the process of building those units.
Yeah. It seems like a really long tail
That is a long
sales
haul
process.
for
Yeah.
sure. So that's going to drop in for us over the next year, next 2 years. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm really building up our systems with the cleaning and the linen so that we
Sure.
can handle some big chunky numbers dropping all at once, plus our own construction that's going to do the same.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back to the first rent roll, and I did have a question for you. Um, because one of the things that I mean, you've got a lot of experience as a business person, building different businesses, knowing how to do things, and to be entrepreneurial. But you had, I guess, a bit of a leg up because you came not cash strapped, I assume, into the business, and I guess it's all good and well if we've got cash, we can go and buy stuff and then start to build that business. How important was that versus your skill set? And then what could you recommend to people that maybe don't have the cash to
Right.
get going?
Well, I actually, though I have some substantial assets, most of those assets I've had invested in real estate. When I first moved to Queenstown, I bought up a lot of high density residential sites. So I've been building up a development site specifically for development, and it'll be my swan song when I finish off my development here in Queenstown. It is the most exciting development site in town. So I haven't started developing that yet. So I set myself the challenge of building this business without using my capital that I have invested other
Mm.
places. So I've built Hello Queenstown without having to rely on the funds that I'd built up in my previous business. I've done that through creative lending. So I've built up a reputation with the banks so that they've lent me money. I've also gone to friends and family who also wanted to share in the growth that I'm doing here in Queenstown, and I've borrowed money from them. Also, with my property developments, I have set those up as property syndicates. So I have investors investing with me to purchase the sites to go through to the development. All that development will be financed through commercial construction finance. So it's actually been a real challenge and a lot of fun, to be fair, to grow this business without having to rely on funds that I have elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah, and I hope you don't mind me asking that question, but it's really important because I think quite often we can get stuck in our ways or say, "Hey, I can't do it because I don't have the means." But if you can get enough, it's about education, right? You need the
Yeah.
education to know what your options are and what you could potentially do.
If I
To
can say what I can say is that coming into this business, I brought what has built this business for me is my confidence and my previous experience, particularly
yeah,
on sales and exuding that level of confidence and service. Those
yeah,
have been the keys to building this business, not having a big mountain of money in behind me, because that's been allocated for other projects and other investments. This
sure.
business has been all about service, professionalism, and confidence.
Yeah, fascinating. I love it. Okay, so 18 and the 27, then the organic growth. You said that picking up the properties, or sorry, moving into the office was a key part to it.
Yes.
Then over delivering on service, building up a fantastic reputation with the community. I want to talk about community a little bit because this is something that I think a lot of um, aspiring entrepreneurs could really leverage is understanding if you're in a big city, it can be a lot harder to create community. But if you do have, if you are in and a lot of people are in regional towns or in certain locations, you can start to build up a community and work with that community in the right way, which can pay huge dividends down the road. How important has that been to your business, and what have you done specifically uh, to uh, to work with community?
I think it's 100% correct that, especially when you live in a small town, Queenstown, though we punch way above our weight, we're only 25,000 people. So, it's like a suburb of Sydney where I
Yeah,
used to live. It's very small. And, joining the local business commerce um, uh, organizations, getting to know the counselors, getting to know the local real estate agencies, becoming friends with. I always have an attitude that I'd want to have no enemies. Is a very small town. Everyone knows everyone, and especially when you come into a new town, because no one knew me from any. I was complete newbie when I got here in 2018. So putting yourself out there, meeting lawyers. Lawyers are a fantastic way of getting to know property owners and representing yourself to who's doing developments. Um, Getting to know real estate agencies so that they refer your business to their clients when they sell properties that are geared for
mm.
short-term rental. Um, Getting to know the counselors, getting into the local council, and making sure that they know who you are and that you're doing the right thing, especially if your town has specific or strict rules around the short-term rental occupation, right? So it's really critical to become well known quickly so that people know who to refer to.
I couldn't agree more. And that sense of community, a lot of businesses that I've seen do very, very well, built into community, became trusted, became well known in many, many different ways. And you would love to hear Tim Mortimer's story. If you haven't seen the episode, Savannah, that I recommend that you do, because they've set up a festival. A country music festival for the local community, and they're kind of the key leader of it and the sponsor because it's a passion of the founders. And then that way they know everyone in the community. It's really, really cool. But one of the things that I kind of want to get towards the end of the episode on is working in Queenstown and then expanding your business. So you've said you want to get up to 500 properties. You said there's 25,000 residents in Queenstown. So, I mean, that's really a lot. You're not going to get to, or maybe you'll get to 1,000 or 2,000. I don't want to have limiting beliefs, but surely at some point, Hello Queenstown needs to become Hello Melbourne or Hello Auckland, and there will be some sort of
Nope,
expansion plan.
nope, nope, not going to do it. My previous business, when I first started the stock market business, I traveled all over the world doing my training seminars: Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Hong Kong, LA, Toronto, London. My daughter was born and I just focused on Australia. So I spent 20 years living in a suitcase flying around the country. That's why I specifically named the company Hello Queenstown. Like, not Hello
Forces your hand.
Auckland or Hello Wellington or Hello Sydney. It's just Hello Queenstown. Like, I'm 52, I'm having the time of my life. I've got a good, 5 years to build this business up to a fantastic level, and we'll keep running it. I don't have any intentions of selling it, though you should always build your business with the exit in mind. I will just keep it. My real passion is property development, and by providing the property management arm to that, we can then give that confidence to the people who purchase our property development units off of us, that we're here for the long haul with them, that they know that we're not just selling a property, that we'll be managing it for them for years to come. So I can see us doing Hello Queenstown for many, many years to come. But no, don't start putting Hello Melbourne or Hello Sydney. There's lots of other players who can play those games. Power to them. Let them go for it. But at the end of the day, we're not growing past Queenstown.
Yeah, love it. Love it. I'll be interested to see how it goes, and I could completely trust with your business savvy and from what you're saying that won't happen. But you never know what happens in the future.
That's why I've said, like, we want to go not just in property management, but also the cleaning, the linen supply, the property development. Like, we also are actually one of the largest activity providing agencies in town as well. So we provide that service to our guests, where we provide a concierge booking service where they can book in their jet boating and their bike travels and their wine tours. They can do that with us as well.
Wow. So much opportunity. Look, Savannah, I think from a building perspective, you've really shown what's actually possible in a very short amount of time with the right business knowledge, with the right mindset as well. And we've covered off on that. And I think that, we could really go for a deep dive for a few hours. But I think that it's nice for people to start to learn about you and learn about this story and get some of those takeaways that they can apply to their business, that I guess with the right tools, anything is possible. So are there any final tips or thoughts you want to leave people with today?
I was very privileged to have a chance to work on stage in front of thousands of people with Richard Branson. And I loved his book. I read his book back when I was in my early 20s in the 1990s. And I think the name of the title of the book was Screw It, Let's Do It. And that's something that I've always carried with me, that what an opportunity. When you see an opportunity, just like, don't second guess yourself. Don't doubt it. Just go and do it. There's so much opportunity in the world right now, with so much different things happening and money moving in different directions, and technology is changing. You can't spend the time double, thinking or double guessing yourself, questioning your ideas. Just like he said, screw it, just do it. Just get out there and make it happen.
I love it. On that tip, folks, we're going to end the episode. So, folks, if you are tuned in on YouTube, make sure you give us a subscribe, give us a like. We'll love your comments and your feedback on this episode. What did you take away from it? What can you contribute? What can you add to the conversation? If you're on the podcast and leave us a review, it does make a massive difference. What it does is it means that we can extend these episodes to a wider audience. Savannah, you're awesome. How do people get in touch with you or reach out to you or engage with Hello Queenstown?
Well, the easiest way is just to go to helloqueenstown.nz, right? helloqueenstown.nz. And my email is simply savannah@helloqueenstown.nz.
You go. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you over the next. I actually see you in a month's time, and I'll see you again in March, and working together, hopefully quite closely over the next few years. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Great. Thank you, Bart.